Everybody, welcome back to the Reap Smite League. I'm chair number one. Let's play ABC. Into my side chair number two, I have El Rosa. So
Uh,
it's gonna be Hereford Hairnets versus Mind Goblin. So there's a very exciting match. Is I believe it's the first Go Fury match that is being casted. So that's very exciting. So El Rosa, what do you think? What do you think is gonna happen? Like, there's any history between these two teams? Any sent out players that we have to be looking out for? What do
all
you
that
think?
all that I know for sure between these two teams is that neither one has really gotten their roles entirely figured out. Like they're kind of open to experimenting in whatever player wherever they need them. Okay, like for example, I know that Foxen has been in jungle solo for VHS.
Okay.
Nitro has kind of moved all around the place as well. Like these teams haven't really figured out what roles they're playing at the moment.
Okay, and we're coming up with from some of the first few bands, so they're banning out the Hades. Obviously, rank monster, very annoying to deal with. A lot of healing. If you have a player that can do that very well, the way. Thor's next. You know, also very global ultimate. A lot of power, big power. Power pen, stuff like that. Do we think any like? Do we think with these picks of bands anything weird's gonna happen or anything unique's gonna happen, or do you think this is mostly just gonna be standard?
This is going to be pretty standard for the Gold Fury division. It's going to be a lot of comfort picks, and I'm not too familiar with a few of these players, so there could be something wacky going on.
Okay. And VHS deciding just to not, they don't want to deal with healers, getting rid of Hades, getting rid of Guan. Deathleader responds back with a Cupid ban. Very annoying when it comes to the team advice, that big cripple field of loves. Sometimes just gets in the way, beans burner, whatnot. So, it seems like Death Dealers is, oh, actually, no, it's the Bracken pick that they opt for. Okay.
Oh
So,
yeah, and Kabrakan just provides a lot of utility no matter what role you're playing him in. In solo, if you go like the one-shot build, nobody wants to deal with that as backliner. If you're gonna play him in support, he just grants so much pressure over there. He
yeah.
also has the walls, which shut down a lot of meta picks right now. Like Pele can't really do much. Other junglers.
Okay, and then VHS, they go ahead and get the keep it out of the way. It's again big circle, field of love, whatnot. You know, now they also balance along with now VHS first picking. What do you think they're gonna pick up? Emoji's open, Naja's open. What are some of those picks that you're looking at?
I have a feeling they're going to go towards the jungle here. I know that Chaos Tonight has kind of proven himself to be a pretty good jungler for VHS thus far, as they hover Naja. If they go towards this pick, it provides a lot of, just one-shot potential late game.
Yeah,
Early game also sets up so much for the rest of his team. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they also go towards like a huge burst mage, like a Scylla or a Poseidon, like somebody that can just combo off of Naja and kill even a frontliner in just one shot.
yeah. That's Zilla responding back with looking at Charybdis. Very safe god. Oh, Charybdis and Atlas. Very safe god. Actually, Naja has a really bad matchup to Atlas, so that's pretty good counter picking from them. Charybdis is a very safe god. Has a lot of CC. Has Shred as well. Atlas, but also the other Shred and everything. So I think this is a fair response.
Yeah, this is a very fair response. Charybdis never gonna really be in danger as long as she has her three alt and relics up. It's hard to shut down a Charybdis. It's very
Yeah.
annoying to play against in lane. Like Charybdis just provides a lot of utility,
I will be standing
outside of
no
also being a
guarantee
hunter.
of our success.
And then VHS looking at the Ganache. You have the not. Yeah, you look at the Ganache, and they're also looking at. I can't quite tell what that is. I believe
Uh,
it is
Poseidon.
Poseidon. Oh, okay. What do you think about those picks?
Uh, Ganesh is just very annoying for anybody to deal with, and Poseidon is just burst mage that combos really well off of Naja.
Yeah. Seems really looking at a lot of setup. And oh, the Chaga. Little. Okay, that's a pretty interesting pick. How do you think that fits in with their comp?
This is what I was talking about when I said like comfort picks are going to be very valuable. Like I don't think Naja is necessarily the most meta, but if you have somebody that's very comfortable on a Naja, Naja is a very good pick in either solo or mid. So can't really say even where it's going at the moment. Like it could be Royal could take this to the mid lane. It could be a Nitro pick. it can do a lot. You know, it provides the huge ult if somebody sets it up correctly.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a healer, and healers are pretty strong right now with Feblust and other items like that.
Yeah, and also like the Chongo, like 3 characters on their side, no CC immune ult, so that Chongo ult's gonna get a huge value. But they go in with the Pixie ban. They ban Death Dealers bans Yi, VHS do Circuits, Achilles does Death Dealers do Achilles, and the VHS ends up doing Dodgy. Surprised that Dodgy actually made it way far. Like Dodgy could have been a pretty good pickup, but VHS does ban it away. They do recognize that. And how do you think, how do you think Death Stealer is going to run out this comp? They have a lot of shred. They have a little bit of good CC with the Atlas and the Chang'e. What do you think the jungle under solo lane should be looking like?
Jungle is kind of in a weird position. Like it could be. It's probably going to be just a normal burst assassin like a Pele. Maybe I think would also honestly go pretty okay here. There's also gods like Bastet, which just bring that huge CC ultimate into a Poseidon especially. Like, and then solo, Jormungandr is being hovered. Uh, and Nitro has a very weird god pool. As somebody who teamed with him last season, like he could, as he picks the Jormungandr, that's probably going to be full damage, by the way.
Yeah, I 100% agree. But I mean, it also works out. You get shred. Both characters, 2 characters are shred. So just your Morgan wants to build damage. I feel like he's gonna pop off. But on the VHA side, Jingwei, Kakolin looking out. VHH draft. If they do lock in the Jingwei and the Kakolin, this is a pretty good draft. They have a lot of CC. They have pretty good front line, pretty good setup. Jingwei's probably gonna go crit. So I'm kind of curious what Deathslayer is gonna do with the jungler now that you know that the backline is gonna be the Ganesh Poseidon and Jingwei.
Yeah, the only target that the Death Dealers really have at this point is going to be that Poseidon. Jingwei is just so safe in her ability to get away, especially when you have knockups like you do with the Jormungandr, the Atlas, as best it gets locked in.
Yeah.
Um,
And they do lock in Bastet. Do you think this is the type of burst mage then they need? Burst mage, burst assassin that they need?
yeah, I mean, it gives a lot of value with the ultimate. Like, Ganesh does not have a fun time into a Bastet ult.
Yeah.
Poseidon also beads instantly burnt. Okay, so if you also pair that with an Atlas too, like, I don't see a way that somebody can survive all of that CC that they have. But
Uh,
you do also have to land the Bastet ultimates. And if those aren't hitting, then this game might go pretty bad for Death Dealers.
of course, of course. Look at the drafts. I'm personally in the favor of VHH draft, but is like we mentioned, they do have good CC. They do. The Bastet has pretty good counter matchups into VHS teams. But up to you now. What draft do you favor now?
I really favor safety, and Death Dealers have an incredible amount of safety in this pit, in the draft. Like Chang'e, very good with the two, getting out of stuff as telegraphed as a Poseidon ult. Charybdis, the three, also very good at just getting away. As long as Atlas provides some appeal, that death line, that backline is never dying.
And we should actually, he kind of said it. We should start calling them the death line. Death dealers really bringing out the death in them. So I'm very excited to see how this plays out. I definitely comes to early game pressure. I think I also favor VHS, but I think it could go both ways. You know.
Yeah, these are pretty equal drafts. The one pick that is kind of, well, two I'd say, are the Chang'e and the Jormungandr. Like those picks are not very high value in the meta, but as long as they're piloted well, they can do great things.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely agree too. And you know, like you mentioned, they have great safety in TVH's comp. They have amazing CC with the knockup. Two forms of knockups. I guess Atlas is technically a pool. But, they have good slows. They have good shreds. They have a lot of good things going for them. So what is if I'm the Death Dealers and I'm looking at VHS draft? I'm like, okay, they have a little bit of early game pressure. What lane do you look at first? Do you look at the solo lane? Do you look at jungle? Like, what do you look at?
Jormungandr is a pressure machine. Okay, like even into Kakolin, who also is very good at pressure. Jormungandr, especially if Nitro does what I think he's going to do and go like a Rongba's build, is going to have a lot of pressure in that solo lane. I would be surprised if Death Dealers pick that Jormungandr and don't try to invade blue buffs and get that side of the map just ahead.
I mean, hey, that sounds pretty sound to me. Colin's gonna definitely have a hard time fighting into that Jormungandr. So maybe that solo lane, maybe Death Dealer can find something off a solo. Pretty good for when it comes to the diving. Once this team gets to late game, like I don't know, is it all up to Naja to find like the engage to get this picks off? Do you think maybe the Death Dealers has to be one that fully engages Atlas all on somebody and just try to
Wouldn't be
burn them down?
surprised
Like
if
front
Death
to
Dealer
do you
took
think
that
Death Dealers
Jormungandr
front to
and
back, or
don't
do you think they're
try to
back to
invade
front?
debuffs and get that side of the map. I think that Death Dealer.
I mean, hey, that sounds pretty sound to me. Colin's gonna definitely have a hard time. Okay, so we're gonna cut to intermission. We're gonna go into the game between VHS and Death Dealer. We see you guys very soon. Welcome back, everybody. Game number one, VHS versus Mind Goblins, and then we're setting off with the match. So, kind of standard things right now. You know, everything looks pretty standard. Anything catches your eyes, Mr. El Rosa?
Like I said, the Jormungandr going towards that fighter's mask. I'm also
Interesting.
somewhat surprised to see the Kakolin start out with the earring start. Because notably Kakolin cannot get mana. He is not a mana sustaining character. It will just give him HP 5. And also Tainted Steel. He's kind of just more looking for late game with that item because Jormungandr notably has no healing.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, definitely for the Chang'e. I mean, maybe a little bit for the Kribza. She is going that's Death's Toll, so it will help in that light. Both supports definitely to go different relics. The Atlas going Med, and then the Ganesh is going Shell. Pretty standards. I mean, I personally prefer going Shell whenever needed, but maybe Atlas has an idea in mind with the meditation. Maybe he goes Marrow Renewal to meditation, but from all the teams, looked like just standard starts. Both sides decided to do red to yellow, and nothing, no evades happening. I mean, I don't think Atlas nor Ganesh really evades that well, but all seems very standard.
Yeah, and both sides neither can really invade like you said, so they're more tend to go green purple start. I'm pretty sure Atlas Charybdis should just get wave pressure here as well, kind of looking towards that right side, the scepter.
Oh, it seems like the blue side actually gets it. A nice knock up from the Ganesh. A little bit of poking happening. I don't think no one dies. They do get plenty of poke and two Death Stealers Atlas. That's a pretty rough start, but not too bad. Not too bad. Looks like in the solo lane they're going ahead and fighting over totem control at the moment. Oh, Colin dies.
That first
That's
blood is going to be huge in that lane. Full power characters want to be ahead. If you are behind, you are not going to do anything that game. So that
yeah.
is huge for putting Nitro ahead. This lane, honestly, could just snowball at this point.
I 100% agree. Having Nitro being ahead of my Jormungandr is a little bit scary, but it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's just first blood. Let's see how the Colin response is to him being first blooded. I'm sure he can go ahead and just play back a little bit, wait to form up, and see what else he can do. Over in the dual lane, we saw the Atlas. He got a little pip poke. No one was in danger of dying. Now they're going back. Now they're doing Scepter. We do see the Naja, the Basset, kind of fighting over Oracles. Oh, Basset opts to come into over the duo. Does a gank happen? And they're fighting over. VHS does end up securing that circuit, but the Naja comes in, gets the nice sash onto the Bastet, and now they're just looking to disengage. Grab this, no way she's in danger. Probably sells a 3-up, and now they're just gonna go back to neutral. Do you think that Scepter plays a big role into the early game, VHS?
Dual lane is kind of control of the Scepter for early.
Yeah.
Because Scepter does give you like an extra 50 damage in prolonged fights. It is a pretty big buff. It also gives you HP 5 when not near minions. It buffs your wave clear. So the Bastet coming over so early to take that fight over Scepter honestly helps that dual lane out a lot.
Yeah, I also agree. To make sure that if that dealer looks for this invade, it's gonna not be as optimal, not optimal, but not gonna be as secure. But it looks like that dealer is gonna go for the invade regardless. VHS not really in the position to walk up and try to secure their own purple buff, so they're just going to lose that. Naja, on the other hand, is looking for some more pressure on the Jormungandr. Nice poke, and probably is just going to look to, still farm and everything like that. Oh, but Ganesh dies. That dealer does bring the jungler back over. I'm pretty sure the dual lane went back up to the purple buff, tried to see if they defend it, and then, it just wasn't successful.
It
Um,
looks like Foxen got a little bit overzealous there. Kind of stepped
yeah.
up trying to defend the purple, saying, "No, that's mine." But no, it isn't yours anymore. Like, you're outnumbered. You just can't step up. You have too little health. You're just dead there if you do.
But the Naja does respond with the speed buff invade. A little cheeky, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Very nice respawn from him. Bassett is coming in, jumping in, see if she can get the kill. Naja is pretty low. Does she hit the root? No, it seems like Naja is gonna walk out free.
Yeah, that
Um,
guy wasn't level 3. Couldn't hit that 3.
oh, you're
Uh,
totally right. Oh, but Bassett still looking for more Naja with the sash. Just kind of just walk away, poking away, going back to duo. Naja going back to farming. Oh, but this Bassett, she's looking for more. Poseidon ult, not quite on the mark. Maybe just pull the trigger. But in the solo side, actually, Top Hat is the one that responds with the other solo kill, and the Chonga comes in, cleans up their jungler, and she's able to just walk away. Wow, there's a lot of things happening right now. Like, it's kind of going back and forth, but that dealer is, you know, what do you think?
I think that solo kill and right is huge. Okay, because it cuts down on that lead that was gotten by First Blood. Also, that's still 2.
Bassett is still level 2. He just needs to farm.
Very true.
Do you think it's worth that the Basset's leaving delaying her level 5 this much?
No, no, it's not worth. You need that 5 on Bastet to feel impactful. No matter what iteration of Bastet that has been, whether it be her summoning a bunch of cats, whether it be buffing all of her ability, level 5 is when Bastet starts to become very strong. And delaying that so long by just kind of not farming and staying on duo side just isn't worth it to me.
Blue lane looking to get aggressive. Ganesh does miss the dash, but it's oming him, oming the Charybdis, but nothing too much comes out of it. Uh, Jingwei is now level 5. Ganesh is falling just a little bit behind, but I'm sure he'll hit 5 pretty soon. If not this wave, the next wave. We're looking at levels right now. So Naja is level 4. She should be handling. She actually is just 5. That's kind of scary. The Naja's 5 and the Basset's 4. You think the Naja should just start getting active, looking for a lane?
Nasha getting active as soon as you get that out. You can do so much damage, especially if you have somebody else to set up on that gank with. Like, I would look towards this mid lane, see if you can bait out that Chonga too, and maybe just ult her, and then you have a Poseidon follow up right afterwards.
Right, right.
This mid 3v3 from VHS is very strong at dealing with especially this Atlas. Like, he just gets burned through so quickly because he can't use his dash, he can't use any abilities as soon as he comes down. So
Understood. Over in the jungle, is looking to get active. Has Bastet pretty low. Naja did have to use ult. Misses the sash, unfortunately. Let's see if she can find a way to clean it up. But Chonga comes out with the ultimate, stops her, deterts her right away, saying, "No, you're not killing my Bastet." That's, I mean, hey, Naja has the right idea. She has a level lead. She is up ahead. Go ahead and try to look for something. They do end up going for the Scorpion Invade, which is pretty good. Cups are now up, and right now Death Dealer does look like to have a little bit of advantage over the cup, but I don't think it matters too much because VHS is just, you know, invading and they have the level leads and everything. Now that we're starting to go away from this early game, and now, you know, maybe like 2 minutes from now, like how does VH respond? You know, they're kind of starting to lose. Oh wait, but there is a duel happening in dual lane, but there is also another duel happening mid lane. No, everything's fine. Everything goes back to neutral.
I was
What do
just
you
a
think?
lot of abilities placed down, not much happening. But as you were saying, like towards this middle lane, or this towards this mid game, uh, VHS has an amazing ability to burn objectives. Like this Jingwei is probably going to build crit. This Poseidon has his too. Like they are very good at doing objectives.
I agree. A little skirmish happening in mid lane, just looking for poke. Oh, and the Charybdis is very low. Oh, the Jingwei jumps, and she finds the solo kill. Scary creep. She finds the way to bring that out in her favor. That's pretty. That's pretty huge for VHS, seeing that the dual lane was a little ahead, and now, you know.
Yeah, getting soloed by a Jingwei will never feel good. That got just has a bunch of stims, isn't really looking to fight you in lane, and that was really close as well.
Both sides just kind of chilling out. Naja, Bastet fighting over the scepter. Oh, Naja finds it. She does find it. Is she gonna soul her? Misses the ultimate. Unfortunate. Unfortunate. Just a little bit mechanical play, but she should. Does she get this kill? Bastet is doing a really good job baiting for her team. The ultimate comes out of Chang'e. The burst is happening. This Naja is super low. Atlas ultimate comes out and cleans up. That was real. That was really nice.
Yeah, the kill should have came through there,
Yeah,
but missing the
100%.
ult. Like, as soon as that Bastet leaps back in, that's really when the kill should have happened. Like that ult comes out, you just kill her, and then you get out. But instead, you stay a little bit too long. You get Atlas coming over. You get the team to collapse in on you, and you're just kind of in a rough spot as a Naja without ult. You can't move. You have no mobility in your kit.
Well, gold. It's gold. When it comes to looking at gold, it's pretty even right now. 4-2. Death Dealer, even though the game's kind of go back and forth, Death Dealer just finds a little bit edge and kills. But if I'm VHS, I have 4 kills. I see that VHS is having 2. Like even though they're even, I feel like Death Dealer can get a little bit more aggressive. Uh, what are they? What are they not doing to start getting this lead? Where did they go wrong?
They just haven't really played like these Scorpions, for example. I believe that VHS has been able to get both of them.
I'm gonna cut you off. It's the solo and the Jingwei finds it again. They're just going back and forth, and Jingwei is just finding a little bit more autos than the Charybdis. I mean, uh, it's a little. I wonder if the Charybdis used a 3 and just wasn't a bad spot, or what turn happened. But that's a little unfortunate. But you can go back to what you were saying.
Yeah, I just think that Scorpions are a quarter of a Gold Fury. Those are incredibly large early game, and I don't think that Death Dealers have done a good enough job of securing those, even when they had pressure in lanes.
Yeah, agreed. Looking for solo kill on the Jormungandr. Doesn't really find it. Jormungandr is 1 HP, but he is sticking around too long. But it looks like VHS is not going to opt in to try to kill him. A little bit of skirmish is happening. It seems like everyone's just going back to neutral, just grabbing the farm. Look at these builds. Ganesh comes out. Pillar of Dawn. A little more abilities get traded. Nothing much is going to happen. Ultimate does get picked. The Poseidon does find the ult Kraken. Pretty big damage onto the Bastet. And beats happen as well, and the Chang'e ends up going down. That's a little rough. What do you think? That's a little rough for them.
When you're playing the Chang'e matchup, as soon as you're forced to use your 2, you can't really just be in a position where your 2 isn't enough. Like you're fronting a little bit too hard there, which leads to a kill, which is you just can't really let that happen. And Gold Fury is going to be called here. That's just probably free. I don't think anybody on Death Dealers is close enough to contend.
Yeah, it doesn't look like they have much. VHS has plenty of wards up on the map, and it looks like Death Dealer has little to none on the map right now. So you're right, it's gonna be free. And funny enough, Death Dealer was in the driver's seat for a little bit in the early game, but now it seems like VHS is just they're going forward, and it seems like Death Dealer is not really responding to it well. Looking at the builds, anything that catches your eye, or does it all seem pretty standard to you?
Other than the thing I already touched on, which is the Nitro Fighter's Mask, which we have seen come into play. The early game very, very strong with that extra power, but also very susceptible to ganks. We saw him get forced down to like 0 HP to like 2 or 3 times where he had to just ult out of there, and that never feels good in solo when you're forced out and you can't use your TP to come back in.
Yeah, it really does. I hate when that happens. But this Kokon looking to get a little bit aggressive, does get the ult, is going to transform pretty soon. Seems like it's just kind of just him versus 2. He's just 1v2 right now. Nothing much there. Bastet does look like she wants to... Actually, no, Chang'e's looking like she wants to come in. But they're kind of just not committing to anything, but
Yeah, I mean, what you're looking at there is just a few tanks fighting. Like, even though the Jormungandr has gone towards Fighter's Mask, he's still not going to die. He is going to be able to get that ult up sooner. The only danger is if somebody who does more damage, like the Chang'e or Poseidon, came over, but they didn't really want to commit that much.
Right.
And now,
Go ahead.
And now both sides are kind of just looking towards this Pyromancer starting to group. So you have to think that both sides are kind of aware that this is what has to happen next.
Yes, looking at the war situation, it looks like VHS has a little bit more war coverage than Death Stealer, but Death Stealer do have a little bit of aggressive ward on it, but both teams opting to not look at the Pyro Giant at the moment. You know, I feel like the turning point of this game is really who decides to get objective. You know, VHS is starting to get community lead, surprisingly enough, since some of them did get killed in the early game. But looking at the Oracles right now, it looks like Ganesh is maybe just a little bit out of position. The Pillar of Dawn gets out, nice Kraken, but also even nicer too. But the Chonga still dies regardless of it. And now VHS look at the Caribbean, nice knock up from the Ganesh. The ultimate comes out of Bastet's, breaks him back. It looks like Caribbean just goes to 3. Trying to find some safety in there, and they're just collapsing. Death Dealer is opting just to sack her, and that's the fight. Naja goes up to the air. No follow-up's gonna happen. We'll break down that fight. Like, what exactly could have? Yeah, go ahead.
As soon as that Bastet ult comes out, and Ganesh gets pulled away, I'm pretty sure Charybdis is just free there. But Charybdis goes into Whirlpool form, and just decides to go back in on the Poseidon. Which, you're both at low health, but Poseidon has a team around them. Like, you are not going to get that kill.
I 100% agree. Just maybe a little bit positional mistakes on Death Stealer's part, not recognizing that they're a little bit in danger, and also not recognizing they could just walk away for free. But look at the gold lead. VHS is down at 4,000. They're getting Scorpions. They're doing a really good job at invading Scorpions or getting their own Scorpion. And if I'm VHS, I think I immediately start looking at the Pyromancer. Like,
yeah, I think that your team one ahead is going to be a very strong composition that they've drafted here from ahead. They should be able to just pull these Pyromancers and Gold Furies basically off cooldown and just take the fight if they decide to come over. But you also have the Poseidon, so you do out-secure a Chang'e and the Charybdis.
right.
So I'm kind of surprised that they haven't tried to pull more of these objectives.
So they are. VHS is looking at this Pyromancer. Looks like no one is in position. 3 members in the dual lane. Trying to see if they can find this Jingwei, but it looks like it's thought. Oh, but the Chang'e maybe does know. No, she doesn't go for it. VHS does get it. Dual lane. The dealer are looking for the push on the dual lane tower. Believe if VHS recognizes right now, they could come and rotate. It looks like they are starting to try to rotate. They could potentially punish them.
Yeah, the Jingwei on their tower, one of the best positions for a Jingwei to be in. Like, she has a ton of long-range damage. Like, unless you full commit under that tower, that Jingwei is going to...
Bastet's just out of position, and now VHS is here, ganking them by their T2 towers, forcing a lot of abilities out already. Macaulay blinks in, the knock up, the sash, the Poseidon, everything's just going. This Charybdis is dead. Atlas just having to force us to sit there and maybe just play for life. But he's also staying to try to defend this T2. And dies as well. VHS is somehow just completely starting to snowball.
What came out there was Bastet was just in a bad position.
Yeah.
Got absolutely one shot. Then afterwards, Charybdis doesn't use Bede's Aegis until it's too late. You're already up in the air. You've already taken the Poseidon Kraken. You are just dead at that point. And that's when Beads come out, and then Aegis when they land. It was just kind of poor positioning, and then relic usage just allowed for a big play there by VHS.
One very important thing is that Death Dealers do not have wards. They don't have wards to tell when these
Start the Gold Fury.
come in.
Royal Ice Blaze coming in with a huge Waxing Moon to steal the Fury away from VHS.
I mean, hey, you gotta take the wins wherever you can, right?
Yeah, that does a lot to bring this game back, because, like you touched on, VHS was starting to snowball. That does kind of put the brakes on that a little bit. I mean, getting an objective helps you be in the game, whereas previously it was just kind of, you're looking up, you're seeing that the other team is just, they're just kind of starting to constrict you and just take the life away from you. But you're finally able to get an objective. You have a little bit more gold back. You're gonna be looking better than you were a few minutes ago.
Right. I mean, even then, if I'm VHS, I'm thinking to myself, like, yeah, whatever. He's totally going for it. Like, pretty much, like, these fights has been kind of VHS just winning these fights. So even though you're all right, it does stop the break a little bit. I do believe VHS has nothing to worry about. Atlas gets immediately pulled up to the air. Seems not to be no follow-up though. and Atlas is just gonna walk away freely. Do you expend that ultimate there, even when you know there's no backup for you?
No, but sometimes you got to take the opportunity to just press 4. You know,
Yeah,
Naja,
yeah.
it's fun to see the red numbers show up. You know, the crits are always fun. That was more of a for fun play than a I'm gonna kill you play. You know.
Right. Gotta respect those though. So far, both teams deciding just to kind of play neutral, go back to farming, getting, I believe VHS is trying to start, I believe they would like to pull fire soon enough. I believe it is 18 minutes into the game. Ganesh is just going ahead, stealing some cups right now, and they're going to go ahead and win that. Oh, they do force the beats out of Poseidon, and the Aegis as well. That could open up something for Death Dealer.
Yeah, a Poseidon with no beads with a Bastet is looking like a very fun time.
But this Kokolin is starting just a little bit of aggression, see if he can make enough space or time for Jim to come in. Turns out they don't. If I'm if I'm Death Dealer, like we know the Poseidon bees are down, we know Fire's gonna be looking at soon enough. What is their game plan? How are they gonna kill this Poseidon? Because he should be priority number 1.
You kind of have to push the issue at this point. Like, you are behind, but you can't just let him do it to you. You know, like, you have to force something, and with Poseidon beads down, you guys should be able to kill him as long as Bastet hits ult. So I would say just kind of push it down a lane a little bit. Like, in mid, they're grouped. Although Nitro probably a little bit too far out.
Yeah, Nitro's a little far. Having to force ultimate. Pillar of Dawn does come out from the Ganesh, but it's not gonna matter. The Jormungandr is safe. Yeah, the Jormungandr is safe. Go back to neutral, going back to farming, see if they get any more picks. Oh wait, the Ganesh is looking for the Poseidon. Oh, and they found it. They found the end on the Poseidon. That's perfect. It's perfect.
Exactly what you needed if you are Death Dealers at this point. Now that kind of opens up the game a little bit. You got a nice shutdown as well. You're finally able to say, okay, we are doing things around the map. We can maybe push a tower off of this 4v5 as well.
Yeah, definitely. And Death Dealers are looking to get a little bit active in this Fire Giant right now, put up a little bit of wards. You know, I just the VHS they just they leave Poseidon behind, and as we mentioned, as we just saw, Death Dealer comes in, takes advantage. That was really kind of cool. The Jormungandr kind of just like ran away, went into his 3, and just went the opposite direction for the Poseidon. And I'm glad that Death Dealer was able to recognize that. But the Pyromancer does end up going to... Oh, no. Fighting? Okay, VHS gets the Pyromancer. Seems like they're just kind of skirmishing. And now we're back to neutral. Go ahead.
Yeah, Poseidon beads are still down for another small amount of time as Kokolin kind of walks forward. He's just going to leave, though. The Poseidon beads are still down. You can maybe look towards picking him again if he steps out alone again, like he's doing at the moment.
Yeah. That's pretty good damage. Jingwei is about 25. Poseidon is getting a little bit melted. Death Dealer is right behind looking for some type of engage, but nothing is there for them. This VHS is backing up just quite a little bit on time. Just enough time for Death Dealer not getting anything. They do get the T1. Pillar Dawns does come out. Really doesn't accomplish anything, but the Poseidon gets picked again. Just stepped up a little too forward.
So right there. Oh,
Go ahead.
Okay.
Jormungandr is going to the ultimate, and they're finding a little bit more engaged in the back. Naja looking to get something done, but she's just too far away from her team. It looks like Deathloop should just win this fight. A good knockoff from the Jingwei. Kind of in the middle of everything. Slowly getting burned, but he's about to transform, so maybe that head shells can happen. The shell does come out. And now they're just looking a little bit back in neutral. The Atlas does come out. Barely doesn't kill the Kokolin. It's a little strange for VHS. Why break that fight down a little bit?
So what started that was Nitro doing huge damage on this Jormungandr. He was the build has finally come into its own. He is now going to hit like a truck.
Conga ult does get used there. A little bit more damage onto the Jingwei. Jingwei uses ult to met. I didn't think she was in danger there, but maybe when you're playing the game and that happens to you, you're like, I need to get out of here, which I can understand.
That's a little bit of a lack of situational awareness, like not noticing that they aren't behind you. But it's fine. Like what else are you gonna use Jingwei ult for anyways? Sometimes you just press forward to get out of there. But in that fight, we saw Nitro absolutely one-shot the Poseidon there, get him down to a quarter health. But you also saw after he did that, like they couldn't really step up because they don't have that solo lane, the frontline presence really, so they
Yeah.
couldn't like, tank the tower unless their Atlas wanted to step forward. VHS is gonna pull the Primal Fury, and that's just free again.
That is free again. What's crazy enough is like this entire game, like at some points, Death Dealer is just looking like they're just controlling the map or controlling the lanes, getting super active, and then VHS responds back with better objective play or just better rotations. And now, though VHS does get the gold for, oh wait, actually Death Dealer is looking to pull the Fire Giant, get a little too poked out, so they are gonna have to back a little bit. Kukulin does go for the blink, gets the knock up, but no teammate is around him to have any setup. I think you just pull a Fire Giant here, don't you?
Yeah, this does look like a pretty nice Fire Giant. I think Death Dealers kind of don't have enough vision, as Nitro's going to stand behind and look to steal with his one.
Yeah, I think National does come out, a little flirty. Storm Magic goes with ult, but VHH does secure it. They do have Poseidon, so there's no way that Jormungandr is going to try to steal that. There's no way he secures it. They just look at killing the Jormungandr now. Huge shield coming from the Jormungandr, but the Jormungandr looks like he's clean, decides to go back in. Nice knockup on 2 people. And it looks like Death Dealer is just right behind, getting ready to hit. Does hit the Kukulin with the stun, or I apologize, it's the Ganesh. Ganesh goes down. Kukulin is able to get out. That was a really nice engage. This Jormungandr is creating a lot of space for Death Dealer right now.
Which is surprising because he's full damage.
Yeah.
VHS, I don't think VHS has pressed tab and looked, because if they do, they could just look and realize that guy dies in a couple seconds if we just go on him. But they're kind of just allowing him to walk forward, which even though he does have that huge shield from Bancroft's Claw, you can burn through that.
Yeah, 100%. Especially when, you get your Jingwei, who's building crit, and you got your Poseidon, who's obviously building full damage. You just look at him, press your button, shred him, get him out of the fight. But looking now that we're starting to head to this game, it's like I was mentioned earlier. It's very surprising how back and forth this game is being. Death Dealer sometimes are in the wheel, VHS are in the wheel. I don't know if you can disagree with me if you think I'm wrong, but it looks like with the VHS just needs to play the game. It seems like VHS has a better game plan in mind when it comes to Death Dealer, but if VHS is not the one driving the issue, forcing the engages, it seems like when Death Dealer when Death Dealer is able to get VHS to play a little bit more scrappy, it seems like Death Dealer has a little bit more advantage.
Yeah, it does seem like I would say VHS is a little bit more coordinated at the moment. Like they're playing their 5v5s a little better. They're calling objectives better. I don't think Death Dealers have really had that much vision around the map this game, because they've kind of given up a couple free objectives, which you kind of have to take steps to nullify that.
Yeah. That's just warding. That's just keeping track of people. But the jungle gets a pretty big ult. Forces bees out of Poseidon, gets 2 people, and Poseidon just blows up 2 people. That was a really good engage, and now it just churns to Death Dealer getting picked. And now it is a 5v3. Charybdis does end up going down. Jormungandr goes into the ultimate, has a little bit of safety, and it just looks like the fight's over. That's a little upsetting. You're the one who starts to engage because a nice chunk of the ultimate. Now you kind of just lose the fight. Do you think Death Dealer should be? And they also get the Jormungandr. Didn't back out quick enough. Do you engage the fight like that as Death Dealer? Like, even though, it was a good engage, they don't have fire. Oh, go ahead.
In my opinion, you do not engage like that because you're only 2. At best, you're trading 1 for 2, and with a Poseidon on the other side, with such a clean ult that was hit there, you just can't really do much at that point.
Yeah.
Because, you're walking up into Poseidon, which is already hard enough, and when he has fire and he's ahead, he just hits way too hard.
Now VHS is looking just to push down this dual lane. All towers are down. Seems like they're opting to back and reset. You think they have enough time to go for this Phoenix push? And which Phoenix are you push?
At this point, I don't think that you're gonna really get a Phoenix push. Maybe you can go left and see if you can force something there. but I don't think that you're necessarily that far ahead as to where you can just hold W until you have like EFG. And
Right.
your fight is also about to wear off, so it would really be like just two teams going at it. One's a little bit ahead, and the other has a Phoenix, and Phoenix usually wins those.
Yeah, agreed. Look like VGS is grouping up again for this Oniferi. Kind of looks like they want to take this engage. Could call in like maybe potentially looking for a blink, but decides that like, hey, they're backing up quick enough. As Death Dealer, you're not totally out of this fight. You're not totally out of this game. You are, you have some good fights that have gone in your favors. We mentioned that they like, when the fight becomes scrappy, the Death Dealer does have the advantage. How do you think Death Dealer allows an environment like that? But the Naja gets the sash, gets the bead, and they just pick up Bastet. Bastet just out of shit.
You're just up too far. You're a little bit behind. If you're going to be up that far, you have to be there with your team.
Right.
Otherwise, like we just saw, you're just going to die. You get Naja 3'd and you are just done for. And once again, I think that goes back to sort of the vision problems that that the Death Dealers have had this game, where they just haven't warded enough.
I'm gonna interrupt you. The Poseidon is he gonna get the setup. Setup is does he use Kraken? But I don't think he need to. Krypton finds a nice 2 stun from her ultimate, and it seems like VHS is just gonna go in. Dawn and Pillar comes out. Oh, really nice, really nice. They find a way to trap the Alice on that edge of the Dawns and Pillars, and they find basically almost a team wipe. Only person up is Jormungandr. What do you do here?
You call a Phoenix. This is a Phoenix push, and then you go backfire. Like this is, it's a 2v5. It's not like they really have the best defense with a Jormungandr. Even if the Jormungandr is full power and can one-shot someone, they still have to walk up.
Right. But it looks like they are going to start engaging onto Bastet. Bastet does end up getting blown up. Oh, and they are able to damage burst the Jormungandr before the ultimate. And this just looks like game. It just looks like game now.
That's definitely game. You saw this Poseidon just getting so much value throughout this game. I think Fallen played it very well. I think also the Naja just got a lot of value as well, as they're going to finally finish off the Titan.
Yep.
The Naja sashes were wonderful this game. Like, it was just a ton of huge threes that were just able to pick off people that were out of position. And, Poseidon ults following up on that, there really just wasn't much that the Death Dealers could do when these two picks were being piloted so well.
We're gonna go into intermission right now. We're gonna get game 2 set up for you guys. I hope you guys enjoy that game. We will catch you in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. Death Dealer versus VHS, game number 2. VHS is up by 1. So we're back and forth game by both teams, but it seems like VHS was just a little bit more coordinated, had a little bit more of a plan, and ends up finding the picks and things he needed to end game number 1. Now going to game number 2. What do was there any picks? Was there any strategies? Was there anything that Death Dealer was thinking like, okay, we need to change up the draft, or we need to ban a certain thing? Hit me, Rosa.
I think that you can not allow that Naja to come through again. It did so much for that team. It just completely locked down whatever Death Dealers are trying to do. One player was always just going to die if that sash hit them. You just can't allow that to happen, so either pick that pick first or just ban it.
Right. And coming from both sides, we see the Hades Guan, Thor Kabraki, Hu Huang ban. Naja is going to get banned from VHS. Makes sense because they know our first pick. And they definitely would not want Naja on Death Dealer's hand. So, looking at the first bans, Death Dealer's opting into the Ganesh. I think it makes sense. I believe Foxen had a pretty good Ganesh game, hit pretty good Pillar of Dawns. So take that away from him.
Those Dynamic Pillars were hitting pretty well. They were pretty well positioned, so I think that if Lucky Charms can play it as well as Foxen could, that could be a very strong pick.
Yep. VHS responding back with the Charybdis and the Poseidon. A pretty good backline. You have the Shred, you have the big AoE ability, one-shotting everybody. So
I don't think there's any surprise that they're going to give this Poseidon back to Fallen, because he looked very good on it last game.
Yeah.
And Clonos Yamoja? Is Yamoja getting it locked?
Yamoja's getting locked. Where do you think Ganesh and Yamoja are going? What roles?
So knowing Nitro, the duo lane just got locked. I'm pretty sure Karen and Yamoja is going to be duo.
Okay.
and Ganesh is going to have a fighter's mask build in solo again.
No shot. No way he's gonna do that. But we're probably right. Probably right. VHS opts into picking the Kali, which I think, as of right now, it's a pretty good pick. Ganesh can't really do much against the Kali. The Yamoja does have the walls, but Kali very hard to lock down. And between Ganesh and Yamoja, I don't want to say they don't necessarily have the tools to stop the Kali, but it can be a little tricky. Both sides looking at VGA's looking at Daji, Dexter looking at Kepri. You know, for Death Stealer specifically, they have this Kali, so that's a little worrisome. Well, what do you draft now?
Well, Kali is very strong into the draft the Death Dealers have at the moment. Like the only one that really has a decent matchup is Keranos, which, to be fair, is one of the backliners.
Yeah.
Uh, VHS gonna probably pick a strong. Like I think a Colin would be a good pick here. That's another just strong frontline presence. Allows your backline to kind of have a lot of space. Death Dealers, I mean, they have Ganesh solo, so I can't really tell you anything about how they're gonna draft.
Good point. Good point. Finish out the bands with ESAT and Colin. Um, VHS is looking at the Vimana, which is also an interesting pick. Will force Death Dealers to go Bonk if they do end up locking in this Vimana, and the Vimana does get picked. I assume that is a solo pick, but do we know if this jungler, Chaos Tonight, plays the Vimana jungle?
Seeing as how they already have Kali locked,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah,
yeah, I'm gonna
yeah.
assume that that's gonna be a Vimana solo, which in the Ganesh. Now, I must admit I haven't studied Ganesh matchups in solo, but I have a feeling that Vimana kind of just wins there because he's a solo laner.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
Gilgamesh gonna get hovered, very strong team fight presence. I love Gilgamesh. He's a very fun god. Press that two, knock someone into a wall.
for sure, for
Nothing,
sure.
nothing more satisfying.
So, the Gilgamesh gets locked in. Ganesh solo, Cernan as ADC, Yamoja support, Gilgamesh jungle, and yeah. These last two bands, but not these last two bands, but the last two picks. Death Dealer is looking at the Vulcan. I mean, you know what? Despite potentially Ganesh going to solo, which is probably the case, they do have a lot of frontline. They do have a lot of tools to control that area. So I think the Vulcan makes a lot of sense here. Actually, you got a pretty good setup. You have a lot of slows in your team, and those that big AOE ultimate, the long range, can possibly find easier targets to hit. We just gotta wait to see what VHS is deciding to pick.
The Death Dealers have went kind of for a zone of death comp here.
Yeah, yeah,
There, there's the Gilgamesh Winds of Shamash, very good at like keeping people in a zone. And then you also have Dharmic Pillars, which are going to keep people in a box. And then you have Yamoja Ult, which is another thing that's just going to keep them in an area. And with a Vulcan as well, Vulcan, of course, having that huge ultimate that you could just basically say, no, you can't go in this giant area. Well, having a bunch of ultimates that keep people in an area,
yeah.
that's a pretty strong fight there.
I really think that I really do think Death Eater just tries to hold on in the early game and try to make it to the late game, because when they do, it's gonna pop off. We just gotta see if they make it there. So we're gonna head into intermission right now. We're gonna get game two start and ready for you guys. I was mistaken. We are not going to game two yet. Uh, looking at VHS, they still need one more pick. They still need a pick. What are they gonna pick? What is that?
Oh,
Is that a
Cerberus?
Serb? I believe so.
That would be a Cerberus support, which is interesting. Cerberus hasn't seen a lot of play in support, especially. Like solo, he's a pretty good counter matchup in the Guan. But Cerb support just doesn't bring enough. He's better with some bruiser items, in my opinion.
I
Uh,
agree. I agree.
yeah, he does have that huge ultimate. Of course, like he's very good at just bringing people to one location, which can be followed up on by a Kraken, by a Maw Hungers. There are a lot of tools that would make this Cerberus pick good, but I feel like they could have went with a better.
Alright, now going to game. Now this time for sure going to game number two. We're gonna go a quick intermission and we're gonna get game two bring up for you guys. This one should be a fun one. We'll see you guys in a minute. Welcome back, everybody. Game two, VHS versus Death Dealers. VHS is coming out with a pretty interesting comp. This is VHS or that's what team is that? Death Dealers, correct?
Yeah, that's Depth Dealers.
Yeah, Death Dealer coming with a very interesting comp. Ganesh solo does seem like the play. It, as you call it, the fighter mask is coming through. So that's gonna be very interesting. I can't wait to see the solo lane matchup. I do believe. I mean, I know there's no question to it. Vamana just wins. Like, there's no way this Ganesh ever kills the Vamana, right?
With
Right?
Fighter's Mask, it does like beg the question: how hard do Dharma killers hit? Yeah, how hard do they hit? Because if they hit for like the 500 per tick, like that could be a very interesting matchup. Vamana can't really heal through that at all if you just kind of dance around pillars. So it's a little bit more nuanced than Warrior is better than support. Um, but I still do favor the Vamana.
Yeah, agreed. And especially looking at like towards the early game, the mid game, it's because like remember if you ever did a reason why you don't want to pick a Nash or like an actual support who's not meant for solo lane inside the solo lane, it's because you have no pressure. But luckily for Death Dealer, it is a Kali jungle, so that early game is not going to be as strong as some other junglers. So maybe Ganesh can see that if he could either get pressure or just keep the lane stalemate. His one does hit pretty hard. 1-3 should be clearing waves pretty easily, if not just one hit the front minions. Um, you know, as VHS, like we have some good pressure picks around the map. Side in, we have the Vamana. Cerberus does provide a little bit of pressure in the dual lane. What do you think is VHS plans here? Do you camp the Ganesh, or do you look for somewhere else to look for plays?
Uh,
Oh, it looks like a pause has been enabled. We're gonna see what's going on. We're gonna be right back. We'll let you guys know what's up, and then we'll keep continuing. We'll keep with the And we're back. We're back with game number 2. Continue off with talking about whether or not VHS game plan is. What do they look at? Do they look at dual lane? Do they look to punish this Nash? What do you think happens here?
I think that when you have you have a Cerberus. You kind of wait until mid game. It's when he goes to the mid lane, because if you notice, the Vulcan went Aegis. He really has no way to get out of that Stygian torment. So wherever this Cerberus says you're going, that's where you're going to go. Which I think, it really does lend itself to pressure as Kali gets into a little bit of a scuffle with a Gilgamesh over here.
I'm just going to be looking out just to run her down a little bit, see what happens. This Kali is looking to kind of stick around. They are trying to fight for totem control. The Vamana just going ahead and clear the wave. Ends up getting a little bit of wave pressure, forcing the Vamana just to go back to neutral wave. So far in dueling, nothing too, not too crazy going on. Death Dealer is doing a really good job getting really good poke trades, so that is going to be in their favor. But the Serb and the Crib is find a way to get the Scepter, you know. If I'm VHS, I don't really think I should be taking this much poke. You think they're just trying to like get aggressive a little too much? You think they should chill a little bit, or you think this poke doesn't matter whatsoever?
I don't think the poke matters too much. You'd rather not take the damage, but you are getting a lot of pressure out of it as Karenino's kind of going to go in.
And Cerberus does opt to popping the shell. Maybe just wants to shell a little bit of the poke damage coming in, but now the skivs. The Gilgamesh a little bit more of an opportunity now that the shell's down, but they're just going back to neutral, clearing wave as much as they can. Nice stun from the Cerberus, gets that hook that they really need. But with the Umoja, there ends up just going to heal up. As Death Dealer is coming for early gank, early two-man gank. Nice double stun from the Gilgamesh. Cerberus is forced to go into 3. Cerberus does dash out. Vulcan gets a really nice two-man knock-up. And oh, nice root. Really, Death Dealer just hitting all their buttons right now. But it is not enough. Um, the
There's
questionable
just
gank from the Vulcan. Can we go over
just
that?
just a few missed autos at the end there. Even if they get the kill, Vulcan loses a wave, maybe a wave and a half to tower, which is questionable if that's worth. But that was a beautiful double stun from the Gilgamesh there, perfectly setting up for everything else.
Yeah, and we'll give credit where credit is due. They got the double knock, or they got the double stun. They found the double knock up. Most members of Death Dealer were hitting their buttons, so just unfortunate that they couldn't find a kill. That does put the Vulcan behind a little bit. Remember, guys, as mid, don't ever gank before you're 5. It's not good, never. But we'll see what happens. We'll see if the Vulcan can play around this little bit deficit. As this Kali is looking to kick the Ganesh, that does get stunned, and Ganesh is able to find a way out. Dominic Pillars does come out. Vermont is trying to look for the solo, but it's taking too much damage. Does find it. Ends up trading 1-for-1. Neutral trade, I believe, a little bit more favored for the Vimana since his wave's getting pushed under. Now everything's going back to neutral.
It would have been a neutral trade if it also wouldn't have been for first blood coming out of that. The
That's a very good point.
Vimana able to get the first blood, that does help this lane, and seeing as how Vimana was already kind of pushing ahead anyways, that might just allow the Vimana to become, the big baby that it was meant to be.
Yeah. Cerberus looking just to do a little more poke, trying to clear out this mid wave. Nice root from the Cerberus, but even nicer root from stun from the Cerberus and Emoja pop shell. And everything kind of just goes back to just more poke trading, more trying to find that edge. Unfortunately, the dual lane just keeps getting aggressive, which, don't get me wrong, they're hitting the buttons, they're forcing the dash from the Cerberus as you just saw. But, oh, really good stun from the Cerberus. But you kind of just feel like the Emoja is going to heal them up.
That's kind of one of the reasons why you pick Cerberus into the Emoja. Is because you do stop some of that sustain. Kernanos getting kinda low, tanking minions. I feel like he's just back in their tower at this point. Yeah, they're gonna head back. It's... Oh? They're stepping on?
Step it up. I feel like this Emoji should basic attack his Cern, get him a little more healthy. But the Cerberus is going to decide to back. Kali is kind of looking over in the dual lane. Cerberus is getting aggressive. Stinger Torment does come out. The beats do come out. And the Cerberus is looking for the stun. Does it connect? It does connect, but the Cerberus does find the return kill. And Cerberus is too low now. It's going to have to retreat.
That was definitely a tower dive that happened in a Smite game. Charybdis goes into whirlpool form, just kind of sits at tower line waiting for Cerberus to walk up, just kind of wasting a lot of time. And then Cerberus finally actually walks up, pulls beads out of Kernanos, which was pretty good, and then Charybdis starts tanking tower, and goes into ult, and just ults the Kernanos, which does trade 1-for-1, but you're ahead at that point. I don't think you take that.
Yeah, I also agree with that. The Cups are spawned. The Cups have spawned. Let's see which team decides to be a little bit more proactive. VHS is getting their own Duocide Cup. I believe Death Dealer is going to go ahead and take that left cup. Mid cups throw up both camps on both sides for the jungler side at least. They're up. Oh, and the Ganesh finds the kill. This Vimana goes for another dive. This is the second dive.
I understand that you're laning against the Ganesh, but that doesn't mean that you just get to hold W that hard.
Yeah.
You might be a Vimana, you might think your ult makes you oh no.
Oh no, Royal finds the kill on the Cerberus. Really nice ult from him. Covers a lot of range, and the Cerberus just doesn't get out in time. Also took damage from tower.
I think the Cerberus bought Thebes and was like, I'm tanky now. No,
Yeah.
you're not. You have to stack that item. You have 0 prots at the moment, other than the prots from your starter. You are not tanky, and so when he walks up into that tower, he gets 2-shot by it. And there wasn't really much you could do at that point.
Right. Seems like VHS is just getting a little ahead of themselves. Like, come on, just play the game. Because I definitely do think VHS can pull this W out. But if they keep making these mistakes, then it might actually just bite them in the back, bite them in the butt. I was gonna say another word, but we can't say that. But yeah, we gotta
No,
keep it PG.
let's not pull some blizzados here, you know.
Nice trading from the crib. This finding more autos than the starter notes, but starter notes was find a good a two. The Kali is looking. I believe the Kali does. If ult link comes in, the ultimate comes in. Ooh! Oh, what an outplay! That guy kind of just went ham on him. Gets the nice. Go ahead, break down the fight.
I feel like what we've noticed this game is that most of the kills are going to come from towers.
Yeah.
I think that Death Dealers have gotten 5 kills. 3 of them last hits have been tower. No, 4. Like VHS needs to take a step back and realize that towers hate you for damage. Because I think that they have forgotten that and they are just playing way too aggressive.
Maybe it's like game 1 win. VHS feeling themselves thinking like, yeah, we can smoke these guys, but as Rosa mentioned, it's just factual. Towers hurt like crazy. If you're gonna go for a tower dive, make sure it's clean. But if they're not clean, definitely put in a position where Death Dealer is up by 3 kills, 5-2. VHS is starting to fumble a little bit. Let's see if they can break it. Let's see if they can bring it back. The Poseidon comes with the ult. Nice Aegis from the Vulcan, but is it enough? It's not gonna be. Is it enough? Oh, the Vulcan gets the backfire. Cerberus misses the dash. The shell comes out. The healing comes out. That was very close.
That was very close. Both sides nearly lost their mid there. Barely able to get out, so I'm going to step back up to clear a wave, but I don't think there's anything onto him. And I was wrong before when I was talking about towers. It's not 4 out of 5 kills that have been to towers. It is 5 out of 5. Every single kill that the Death Dealers have gotten have been to a team have been to one of VHS just stepping into a tower and dying for it.
It is showing in gold. VHS is down a couple of golds. Well, actually, no. VHS actually had in gold. That's kind of odd. Especially seeing that VHS has been the one being aggressor and being punished for it. That is kind of odd that the VHS is above in gold. How do you think that's happening? A nice kill from the Gilgamesh.
See, I think that that was another kill.
Yeah.
That was the first kill that Death Dealers got that was not from a tower. But also another thing about going Ganesh is that you don't get those stacks on your Thoth from getting that kill because your Gilgamesh was right there. That's
Right.
kind of an unfortunate thing about playing Ganesh. Like, you want to get online early because then your ult hits for like 500 a tick, like I said. But you can't really get those stacks online as Gilgamesh is getting collapsed on.
Gilgamesh does end up jumping now. He seems like he is in the safety's team, so the team's not going to go ahead and take that fight any further. VHS is controlling these rounds of neutral. I'm going back and just, continue farming. Krebs is going to look for invade in the purple buff. Seems like she might find it. And hey, Poseidon finds another very nice pick on to the
That was another beautiful Kraken. Like,
yeah.
Fallen is just on point with these Krakens this set.
And the Emoji looks like she's going to get picked. She ends up going down. The ultimate from Kali does get expended, but she's looking for more. They see the Cernos alone. Cripple is not quite on the mark, but that's okay. We got 2 kills. That's all you need.
Using Kali ult on an engage onto just a support that's at 100 HP, not necessarily the play that I would make, but maybe Chaos Tonight knows something that I don't.
VHS is looking to pull this Gold Fury, and even though VHS was getting overzealous in the early game, looks like it's not really gonna matter. VHS is starting to pull ahead in gold. They do get the Gold Fury, and this game, it's back and forth, but in a different way, where it's VHS getting punished for it. Oh, nice Dharmic Pillar is gonna instantly secure that totem. I do have to give Nitro credit where credit's due. He's not making this Ganesh look too bad. Though Tower did help him get 2 kills, like, he still had really good placements on those ultimates. And, I think he is really, like, playing this matchup well. In a matchup where Vermont realistically should be kind of winning, or if not, stalemated. So, VHS does look like, I apologize. Death Dealer does look like to pull the pyro. Seems like they don't want to commit to it. VHS is kind of just in the corner. Cerberus is taking a lot of damage, just frontlining with no help to him. Looks like they are trying to commit to him. Oh, nice Kraken for the. Oh, a nice ultimate from the Cerberus. Everyone's so low. Can the Kali pick up? Gilgamesh does go down to Kali's ultimate. Kali is still chasing this Cerberus, but he's able to get out. Now they just look at the Umoja and see if they can find more kills. Ravana goes into baby form. He's walking at them, trying to find things. Will this Ravana find the Vulcan? Does he get it? He finds it. Perfect, perfect. Poseidon a little bit in danger, but he's just trying to walk out. Good Dominic Pillars, and the Cerberus is able to find it. A little bit scrappy of a play, not a play, but a little scrappy of a fight right there.
So that fight starts out with a huge Kraken. That was a 4-man Kraken, like 3 of them were hit by the main portion, which really just meant that fight should have been over, but they overextend a little bit too hard. Kali goes into tower after already expending ult, which is another, like, it's a little bit of a misplay. Like, you can't really go out when you can still die.
Yeah.
But they do end up trading 1-for-1 for mid, mid for mid, which honestly doesn't really favor either side too hard at this point.
Yeah, but looking at the levels, this Poseidon is, I believe that's level 14? No, that's
Yeah.
level 13. So Poseidon is level 13, this Vulcan is level 9. So VHS is kind of, even though they have entered quite a few times. Oh, the Ganesh is looking for the Kali. Is he gonna find anything? No, it's aggressive farming. Um, even though like VHS has entered a little bit in the early game, just better team map play in general, finding more farm than Death Dealers. They do go for the buff invade. Does look like they're able to steal it, so that's a win for them. And now VHS is just looking to kind of camp their jungler, not the jungle, just kind of camp their jungle. Nice solo kill from the Charybdis, and now Death Dealer is looking to get engaged. They know they can get engaged right here. The Onk does come through. Baby form is onked. Good. Kraken only hits the Ganesh though, and it looks like VHS just looking to just look for a little bit more. The Ganesh is getting pretty low. Looks like let's see if the Mona can find the kill. He does get silenced. Good knockup from the Vulcan. And Top Hat still finds the kill. Now the question is, does he get out? Looks like Gilgamesh is looking after him. The Cerberus is trying to frontline for his Vimana, but the kick isn't quite enough. Charybdis finds another kill on the Umoja. Ultimate does get expended. I believe that was a reset. Kali ult does come out, looking for more, and dude, VHS is just keep looking for more. They back up. They allow VHS, or not VHS, Death Dealers to walk in a little bit to see if they could do something, and then they could just continue. Like, what is happening?
That fight started out with another pretty good Kraken. It wasn't as good as the other ones because it only hit 1 with the main portion, but it did hit 3, which
Yeah.
is still it's what you want from a Poseidon ult. You just want to get that big damage out. And then, Vimana getting out afterwards, going in my opinion, probably a little too deep.
Agreed.
But managing to get out it's exactly what you need in that scenario. And then the tower dive afterwards to kill, who was it, the Gilgamesh? Or was it the Vulcan? Either way, the tower dive afterwards, getting the Charybdis was, by the Charybdis was, it was a very good play.
Yeah. And the Charybdis being allowed just to rotate. You think about this. That fight, the fight was so long that the Charybdis was able to go from dual lane side of the map all the way to their jungle solo side of the map. At one point, if I'm Death Dealer and I'm thinking like, okay, we keep getting picked, we keep like losing the fight every time we go back in. I think you just cut your losses there. Let them have whatever pressure they want. Continue trying to farm other places.
Oh,
And
as
try to
Nitro's
get
gonna
something
get
done.
soloed on the right side. That's kind of where it comes in that you're a Ganesh with fighter's mask. You just don't have the tank stats necessary to step up on a Vimana with Frostbound.
Yeah, and it's also Ganesh. Like, when you don't build Ganesh tanky, he is a very susceptible god to die from, so Nitro just not recognizing that soon enough, quick enough, and then he gets punished for it. VHS is looking around just to building more of the jungle side, look for those camps, look for fights. Seems like Royal is getting looked at. Royal does spend ultimate, but it doesn't matter, he does die, he still loses his Aegis. Gilgamesh is not the next target they are looking for. Gilgamesh trying to see if he can just walk away. Nice stun from the Cerberus, and Poseidon picks up the next kill. And just look at this level discrepancy. Poseidon is level 15, and this Vulcan's level 11. Vulcan not having beat, I feel like it's kind of not doing him any favors.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning of this game, Vulcan without beads into a Cerberus is just, it's very rough. And there's a 2-level lead at minimum in every single role. The lowest being support, and support levels aren't as meaningful as long as you're level 12, which to be fair, Cerberus is, and Emoja is not. So that's pretty impactful. Fire Giant, they just took it. There's not really much counterplay that Death Dealers have at this point.
I do agree. I do agree. I think the best bet that Death Dealers have is just farm where you can, and just know that VHS, they're going to be the one initiating the fight. But hey, Death Dealer, do find the goal free, so they are being proactive in their deficits and trying to find ways to get back in the game. So congratulations to them there. But as Death Dealer, just know that they're going to engage first, and then you guys have like Death Dealer has a lot of team fight ultimates. So maybe now you just look to play more counter engaged wise. You do know that if like the Kali goes in, if the mana goes in, you have the Ankh, you have the Emoji ults to try to block off people. Though it doesn't block off the mana, you could potentially block off Kali, or you can potentially stop other people from coming in. Though Grievous can also ignore the walls by 3. That means she's using her escape to get in. So I don't know. Like, what else can they do at this point?
You have to look towards Ganesh's build at this point. It has the mirrored in them. You are going to hit incredibly hard if you're able to find the engage. It doesn't matter how far behind you are, the Ganesh ult is designed to hit hard even when you are behind, and building full power, he will do 1,000 damage in like 3 ticks at this point. Now, the question is, can he get close enough to get Dharmic Pillars in a good position without instantly dying to all this burst that they have on
I would,
VHS?
I'm gonna answer that question. I believe that is a fat no. I think they have too much. I think VHS once again is just a little bit too coordinated against Death Stealers, and I feel like if that Ganesh does look for a play, he might just get punished instead. But Death Dealer, it's as again being proactive in their deficits. They're getting the Scorpions, they're getting forms where they can. They are grouping fairly well despite being this low, and they're looking for more. The Cerberus is a little bit in danger, a little bit more poke comes into him. But it looks like VHS is starting to look to get more aggressive. Singed comes out. The Kraken, the setup comes through. Nice play from both supports and the mid laner. Nice job, guys. And now they're just looking to run down Death Dealer. Like, who cares? Who cares if they, have fire? Like, if you just group it better than Death Dealer, what is the fire gonna do for you? Nothing.
This game has really shown the synergy between Foxen and Fallen. The ability to just make sure that they always have those 2 ults up and ready to go. Because as soon as that Stygian Torment comes out, you know that the Kraken's going to follow up on it. If they do not have beads, they are dead. It's just so hard to play into that as a backliner like a Vulcan, especially since for most of this game he didn't have beads. He was just getting out pressured so hard because he went Aegis.
So now VHS just looking to get the left tower, maybe go for the Phoenix push. I see, honestly, though you don't have fire, maybe you just try this Phoenix push to see if you get anything done. Maybe soft commit, but looks like they're just gonna back up, go for the safer play, probably the more correct play, and just back up, get farm, and maybe look towards the next fire.
Yeah, I think that they probably could have pushed that. Like, worst that happens is you get 5-0'd, and then you lose a few towers. You're still going to be really far ahead. You're still going to be up like 6k in time for this fire, and odds are you're at the very least going to trade a little bit because you're up like, what, 10k at this point. You're so far ahead that I don't think that Death Dealers can necessarily push you back on these fights.
I definitely agree with that. You do have a lead. You do want to try to push your lead where you can. But this is what this team is opting into. No harm, no foul. You keep the game state kind of the same. You probably just win the next fire if you VHS. Like, your engagers are just always working. Your counter engage, like, this Cerberus has literally baited most times. Like, if not most times in this game. That Tila just tries to push so much into the Cerberus, and then when the Cerberus team is finally there, just pops the ultimate, and then the whole it changed immediately. Cerberus looking at the Vulcan, a little more, just getting a little poked on him. VHS does find the Pyro. I believe that's his bubble. Cerberus bubbles popped. Does he even have bubble?
Yeah,
He
he has
does.
Mad Fist.
So VHS just looking to group up for the next fire, getting getting the ward control, getting all that things done. Uh, Death
I
Sealer, man, they need to do something. They've been proactive a little bit, but just a little bit more needs to come out.
hmm I agree. They even if Death Dealer steal the Fire Giant again like they did last time. I don't even know how that happened, but
I don't know.
apparently they stole it last time. But um, if even if they can't really push back against Death Dealers. They're still down 14k. The best that allows them to do is defend their Phoenixes, because if they lose this fire, and if Vulcan gets picked here, that
Vulcan deciding to. Oh, I see now. The team is here, and they are looking for this Kali. Let's see if they can cash the Kali out. Cerberus hitting a couple of autos, but I think this Kali is just out. It's just too fast, just too mobile for them.
Dealer's going to clear out some waves in mid, looking towards left, back on that Karen.
Kurnos is a little bit out of position. The dash did get used, and they are looking to go on him. The Kali ultimate does get used. Nice. Ultimate's coming out of the Cerberus. Beads get down, but the Kali does get picked. That's pretty huge. The Cerberus does seem like he's gonna go down. It does get down. Cursong does go off on both teams, and they are just gonna win the fight. VAS just seems a little bit more able to focus on those targets a little faster. Nice cracking from the mid laner on the right on mark. And honestly, I think they just win because VHS is just up.
Yeah, I felt like Death Dealers did nearly everything they could have in that fight.
Yeah,
But it still wasn't enough outside of picking the collie.
which is huge. It is huge, but it's not enough. And the Charybdis does find the Vulcan. Gilgamesh does look for the pick on the Charybdis. Charybdis does use her ultimate. Oh, Gilgamesh does up down. Let's see if we can find the kill. It's gonna be a little bit of a dance around this rock. And yes, Gilgamesh does fine. Killing the Charybdis. Thank God. But
Yeah, that as soon as that Hero's Advance came out, just an up down, that it was looking kind of rough there for a moment, but able to just walk and use that Sunforge Scimitar to finally put the Charybdis down.
yeah. VHS is going to look up to pick up this Fire Giant uncontested. They want to fight. There's no way their team's going to respond fast enough. At this point, you just push left, you push duo, and you try to get the duo tower. You probably just either win the fight or get all 3 Phoenixes, and that's still probably a win and not game.
This Vimana build is also pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Opting for a lot of damage. That is just Vimana is looking to just run down a backline, and if they don't put a lot into him after Ankh is used, he will just run these fights.
That is very true. And it's been working out for the Vimana, though Vimana has had a little bit of a rough early game, somewhat of a mid game, definitely in this towards the end, these team fights. Vimana, despite even getting cursed Ankh, he is making space, he is putting the damage out, and they are shredding, priority targets like your Cernos, like the Ganesha, who is still built full damage, and just really nice job for
Vimana,
HS, just recognizing where they're strong.
Vimana also realized they're going to have a lot of anti-heal, and you can only max out anti-heal at 100%. So I'm just going to bring 20% of my healing back. So his ult is always going to have that value just because of that item interaction.
Right. VHS is looking to group up here. They're gonna get the oracles. They got the fire giant a little bit. Kali is split pushing solo side, seeing if they can just split the map a little bit more for the deficient death dealer. Vulcan is out of position, and he's just gonna get picked. There's no way he lives this.
Yeah, you gotta be positioning better in this late game. You're just going to die if you're alone as a Vulcan. Like you have been this entire game. Like you just can't be out like that. Kali's still split pushing right. I'm pretty sure that she just wins that 1v1 against Gilgamesh.
I do agree. VHS just using the man advantage. They're just splitting the map so well. All 4 players can be in the same place. They're gonna go ahead and look for the Chronos. Chronos barely gets out the Poseidon Kraken, and does he still go down? He still goes down. Nice attempt, Chronos. Really nice attempt. But now, VHS is just gonna collapse on the already down a member team, and it kind of just looks like game here. Nice stun from the Gilgamesh. Not enough though. VHS is just too ahead, too strong, has Fire Giant, and this should just be game, right?
Yeah, they definitely have enough damage to end here. Let's see if they do though.
Gale does get the Soul Lane Phoenix. No, there's no question. They are looking for a Phoenix sweep. I do think that's a bit questionable. I do think you just end there, but they're just playing it safe. There's nothing wrong for trying your best to secure the win. Though you could still go for it. At least you got the third Phoenix. That's positive still. Volcano does come out. Does it find a target? I don't think it hit anybody, and they're just going to collapse. They did hit Poseidon. He did Aegis, but it doesn't matter. VHS just closed the sets.
Yeah, that game was just kind of the early game wasn't the best. Even though they were getting kills, they weren't turning them into any farm.
Yeah.
So VHS just got really ahead, and it was very rough from that point on.
And I also think just shows you that VHS, like, they are being very mindful of the early game, and showing up to, like, making sure their farm is down on time, making sure they're going for invades, and just though the early game was a bit troll, they were at least, like, on the macro level, making sure they're controlling those neutral camps, making sure they're going to back camps down. They did pull some objectives, which they were objective focused this game. Not as much as game one, but they did objectives this game as well. So really nice play from VHS. Like you said, the Vulcan. I think you just get beads. I don't see a world where you don't get beads, and you just have to. I don't know. You just can't die in the mid game. You can't let that lead happen because, as we mentioned, if Death Dealer just punished them in the early game, maybe this game could have been different, but they didn't.
Yeah, I mean, they were getting a lot of kills, or their towers were getting a lot of kills, and they just didn't play off of, their towers doing everything that they could have.
So yeah. So that was that game. I hope you guys had a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed the content that was presented to you. Hopefully, you guys can make some memes out of this. Vulcan by beats next time. So thank you guys so much for VHS versus Mind Goblin, and we're gonna go ahead and end the stream now. Thank you guys so much for coming and watching. We'll see you guys next time.